What's good, all you cuties? It is April 1st, and welcome to Entomology ASMR. Sit your sassafras down and open those ear holes, because we're going to learn you a thing. I'm going to gently, ever so gently, caress your brain with bug facts, reading articles about different insects on the Wikipedia. We're going to start with Zygon Toma. Zygon Toma are an order within the class Insecta. The Zygon Toma include silverfish, fish moths, and fire brats. A conspicuous feature of this order is these members all have 3 long caudal filaments. The 2 lateral filaments are cerci, and the medial one is an epiproct, or an appendix dorsalis. In this, they resemble the Archaeonatha, though, unlike in the latter order, the cerci of Zygon Toma are nearly as long as the epiproct. They kind of look like they got 3 little trailutrons. Gonna be a little tail. Until the late 20th century, the Zygon Toma were regarded as a suborder of Thysanura, which is actually how I learned them. Until it was recognized that the order Thysanura was paraphyletic. Thus, the 2 suborders were raised to the status of an independent monophyletic order, with Archaeonatha's sister taxon to the Dicondylia, including Zygon Toma. Ooh, I almost tripped up right there, babies. Good thing I was wearing these comfy pants. Charging battery. Charge complete. Nice. Silverfish are so called because of the silvery glitter of the scales covering the bodies of the most conspicuous species. You know, those really shiny Lepismatidae. Oh, Lepismatidae. No N in there, babies. Their movement has been described as fish-like, as if they were swimming. Most extant species have a body length less than 2 centimeters, or 0.79 inches in freedom units. Though Carboniferous fossils about 6 centimeter longs have been found. Ooh, kind of big for those shiny boys. Zygon Toma have dorsi-ventrally flattened bodies, generally elongate or oval in outline, which, to me personally, I think is a pretty groovy shape for an animal. Their antennae are slender and mobile. The compound eyes tend to be small, and some troglobitic species, such as Nicoletidae, lack eyes entirely. Up to 3 ocelli may be present. The mandibles are short, and the mouth parts are unspecialized. Many species also have a number of short appendages on their abdominal segments. But the most distinctive feature of this group is the presence of 3 long tail-like filaments extending from their last segment. These 3 generally sub-equal. Wait, what? What is that sentence? These 3 are generally sub-equal, except in some members of the family Nicoletidae, in which they are short, and the cerci are hard to detect. Oh no! The 2 lateral filaments are the abdominal cerci, and the medial one is the epiproct. I feel like I've already said this at one point. I hope you all are feeling very relaxed, thinking about tiny bugs. Silverfish may be found in moist, humid environments, or even dry conditioned, both as free-living organism or nest associates. In domestic settings, they feed on cereals, paper, starch and clothes, rayon fabrics, and dried meats. So watch your jerky, guys. You might get some little buggy boys. In nature, they will feed on organic detritus. Silverfish can sometimes be found in bathtubs or sinks at night, cause they're trying to get clean. They're trying to get clean and not be in your way, guys. Come on. Because they have difficulty moving on smooth surfaces, and so become trapped as they fall in your bathtub. Oh, yeah, that's what they want you to think. Thanks, Wikipedia. Not like little guys can get clean, too. Wild species are often found in dark, moist habitats such as caves or under rocks, and some are commensals living in association with ant colonies. There are no current species formally considered to be at a conservation risk, though several are troglobites, limited to one or few caves or cave systems, and these species run an exceptionally high risk of extinction. And there's the garbage truck. Hold up. Alright, ladies and gentle types, now that the garbage truck is done clanging and bangering out in the alley, let's get back to our sweet, sweet silverfish. Oh, yeah. Let's see, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, the cave boys, risk of extinction because they live in one cave, Lesson of that story is don't live in caves if your entire species depends on it. Silverfish reproduction and romance. Ooh, baby. Silverfish have an elaborate courtship Silverfish have an elaborate courtship ritual to ensure the transfer of, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word. We'll just say genetic material. The male spins a silken thread between the substrate and the vertical objects. He deposits his genetic material beneath the thread and then coaxes a female to walk under that thread. When her Circe contact the silk, she picks up the spermatophore with her, lady bits. The genetic material is released into her reproductive system, after which she ejects the empty shell and then eats it, 'cause you don't want to be wasteful. Silverfish continue to molt throughout their entire lives, with several sexually mature instars, unlike the pterygote insects. They are relatively slow growing, and lifespans of up to 4 years have been recorded. That's not super long for us cocky vertebrates, but for a tiny little shiny boy, that's pretty impressive. Since silverfish consume lignocellulose found in wood, they are one type of insect, along with termites, roaches, wood wasps, all those others. They are a type of insect currently being researched for use in the production of biofuels. The guts of these insects act as natural bioreactors in which chemical processes break down cellulose. They have been studied in the hope of developing commercially cost-effective biofuel production processes. That's actually really neat. I didn't know that. Well, guys, I hope you've been enlightened about those sweet, sweet silverfish. But let's move on to one of my favorite orders of insects. Here they are, Megaloptera. These boys contain alder flies, Dobson flies, and fish flies, though those are just the common names, and in general, you kind of want to move away from using common names too much. It's not been good, because where I'm from, in the more western part of the country, people refer to harvestmen or opiliones as daddy longlegs, but, visiting Far East, you'll discover that people call crane flies, daddy longlegs. So just keep in mind that common names aren't very reliable. If they help you remember things, okay, but, don't rely on them. Megaloptera, an order of insects. Let's see. In the phylum Urarthropoda, class Insecta, order Megaloptera. There we go. I've never actually seen these guys. Well, I've never seen a live specimen. The name of this order comes from ancient Greek, meaning large wing. Oh, how handy! In reference to its large and clumsy wings. Now, was clumsy really necessary there, buddy? I don't think so. Megaloptera are relatively unknown insects across much of their range due to the adults' short lifespans. The aquatic larvae often have a high tolerance for pollution, so they're not often encountered by swimmers, and generally crepuscular or nocturnal habits. I don't know who wrote that sentence. It wasn't me. However, in the Americas, the Dobson flies are rather well known, as their males have tusk-like mandibles. These, while formidable in appearance, are relatively harmless to us goofy humans and other larger animals. Much like a peacock's feathers, they serve mainly to impress females. So they're like, ladies, check out these big old tusky types. Ooh, look at these flavor taste styles. Yeah! But other than that, they can't really use them to bite or fight. They fight each other, but
they can't really use them to self-defend from predators.
Predator propers. The mandibles are also used to hold females during mating. Oh, okay. Some male Dobson flies spar with one another in courtship displays, trying to flip one another over with their long mandibles. Dobson fly larvae, common called Helgramites? I've never heard a person use that term before. Helgramites, often used for angling bait in North America. Angling bait? More like dangling bait. Megaloptera were formerly considered part of the group called Neuroptera, together with lacewings and snakeflies, but these are now generally considered to be separate orders, with Neuroptera referring to lacewings and relatives. The former Neuroptera, particularly the lacewing group, are nonetheless very closely related to each other. And the new name for this group is Neuropterida. Oh, so it's like a... Okay. This is either placed at the superorder rank, with Endopterygota, of which they are part, becoming an unranked clade above it, or the Endopterygota are maintained as a superorder with an unranked Neuropterida being part of them. Within the Endopterygotes, the closest living relative of the Neuropteran clade are the beetles. My current professor, the sweet Professor Michael Ivy, he's a beetle specialist. That would be his favorite. That'd be his favorite thing. I think he mentioned that. Yeah, hold on a sec. Yes, the anatomy and life cycle of Megaloptera. Ooh. You can now return from the edge of your seats. Adult Megalopterans closely resemble the lacewings, except for the presence of a pliated region on their hind wings, helping them to fold over the abdomen. They have strong mandibles and mouthparts, apparently adapted for chewing, although many species don't even eat when they're adults. They have large compound eyes, and in some species also have ocelli. The wings are large and sub-equal. And, I guess clumsy, if you want to be rude. Females can lay up to 3,000 eggs in a single mass, placing them on vegetation overhanging water. Okay. That's pretty neato. Megaloptera undergo the most rudimentary form of complete metamorphosis among the insects. My bad. Oh no. There are fewer differences between the larval and adult forms of Megaloptera than in any other order of holometabolous insects, and their aquatic larvae dwell in fresh water, around which the adults also live. Larvae are carnivorous, and are known to feed on small invertebrates such as crustaceans, clams, worms, and other insects. Oh no! Scandalous! They possess strong jaws that they use to capture their prey. They have large heads and elongate bodies. The abdomen bears a number of fine tactile filaments, which, in some species, may include gills. The final segment of the abdomen bears either a pair of prolegs or a single tail-like appendage. The larvae grow slowly, taking anywhere between 1 to 5 years to reach that last larval stage where they reach maturity. And when they do reach maturity, the larvae crawl out onto the land to pupate in damp soil or underneath logs. Unusually, the pupae is fully motile, with large mandibles that can be used to defend itself against predators.
So it's a It's basically like a little cocoon, a little pupae boy who can defend himself to a limited degree. That's pretty cool.
The short-lived adults emerge from pupae to mate. Many species never feed as adults, living only a few days or hours. They've got just one thing in mind: buying a nice pair of shoes. Alright, I think that does it for this article on Megaloptera. They look pretty groovy though. I'd suggest you check them out.
They're pretty nifty looking doodlios.
Oh, I'm a stretch guy. I'm a stretchy guy. I do my stretchy dance. Let's move on to Lepidoptera, everybody's favorite of moths and butterflies. Let's see. Alright, Lepidoptera is an order of insects that includes butterflies and moths, though both fit into Lepidoptera. About 180,000 species of Lepidoptera are described in 126 families and 46 superfamilies.
Oh, ain't that good? There's a time to swell for them.
10% of the total described species of living organisms. Oh, wait a second. 10% of the total described species of living organisms. Oh, that's weird. We'll skip that sentence. It is one of the most widespread and widely recognizable insect orders in the world. The Lepidoptera show many variations of the basic body structure and have evolved to gain advantages in lifestyle and distribution. Recent estimates suggest that the order may have more species than earlier thought, and is among the 4 most speciose orders, along with Hymenoptera, Diptera, and Coleoptera.
My professor's favorite.
Maybe we can look at the moths. Let me just scroll on down. Gamble around the campfire, children. It's butterfly and moth time. Lepidopteran species are characterized by more than 3 derived features. The most apparent is the presence of scales that cover the body's wings and a very conspicuous proboscis. The scales are modified flattened hairs and give butterflies and moths a wide variety of colors and patterns. Almost all species have some form of membranous wings, except for a few that have reduced wings or are wingless. Mating and the laying of eggs are carried out by adults, normally near or on host plants for the larvae. Like most other insects, butterflies and moths are holometabolists, meaning they undergo a complete metamorphosis. A complete change to reinvent themselves from their college to out-of-state college. The larvae of lepidopterans are commonly known as caterpillars and are completely different from their adult moth or butterfly forms, having a cylindrical body with a well-developed head, mandible mouthparts, 3 pairs of thoracic legs, and from none up to 5 pairs of prolegs. As they grow, these larvae change in appearance, going through a series of stages called instars. Once fully matured, the larvae develop into a pupa. A few butterflies and many moth species spin a silk case or cocoon prior to pupating, while others do not, instead going underground. Okay, that would actually explain a lot. When I was a wee lad, I found a funky little moth pupae underground,
Under the dirt.
under the bricks, under the dirt. It was a funky little pupae. I was very confused as a wee little lad. And then he popped out as a cute little moth. Made me happy. Once a pupa has completed its metamorphosis, a sexually mature adult emerges. Once Lepidoptera have a wide range of wing patterns and coloration, ranging from drab moths akin to the related Trichoptera to the brightly colored and complex patterned ones. Accordingly, this is most recognized and popular of the insect orders, with many people involved in the observation, study, and collection of such specimens. A person who collects... Oh, cough! A person who collects or studies this order is referred to as a lepidopterist. Butterflies and moths play a vital role in the natural ecosystem as pollinators and in the food chain. Conversely, their larvae are considered very problematic to vegetation in agriculture, as their main source of food is often live plant matter. In many species, the female can produce 200 to 600 eggs. 200 to 600 eggs. While in others, this number may approach 30,000 eggs in one day. Oh, that sounds exhausting. Oh, the caterpillars hatching from these eggs can cause damage to large quantities of crops. Many moth and butterfly species are of economic interest by virtue of their roles as pollinators, the silk they produce, or as a pest species. And silk production, that could be a neat. Oh my god, I should do a whole new video on silk production. That's like the coolest thing. The Lepidoptera are amongst the most successful group of insects. They are found in all continents except Antarctica and inhabit all terrestrial habitats ranging from desert to rainforest, from lowland grasslands to mountain plateaus, but almost always associated with higher plants, especially angiosperms, also known as flowering plants. I feel like I have to make that note because I'm not much of a plant expert. I took like one hard class for plants and that's it. I'm just the bugman, specifically centipedes. Among the most northern dwelling species of butterflies and moths is the Arctic Apollo, or maybe it could be an Arctic Apoyo. You never know. Which is found in the Arctic Circle in the northeastern Yakutia? I'm going to assume Yakutia. At an altitude of 1,500 meters above sea level. In the Himalayas, various Apollo species such as Parnassus epaphus have been recorded to occur at an altitude of 6,000 meters above sea level. Ooh, some chilly boys, some chilly gals, flapping around with all their pals. Some Lepidopteran species exhibit symbiotic, phoretic, or parasitic lifestyles, inhabiting the bodies of organisms rather than the environment. Ooh, the coprophagous pyralid moth species called Sloth Moth. Sorry. Sloth Moth! Anyway, sloth moths, such as Bradypodicola hanhili and Cryptosis coleope, are unusual in that they are exclusively found inhabiting the fur of sloths. Oh, they're cute little guys. Oh! Two species of tinea moths have been recorded as feeding on the thorny tissue and have been bred from the. Hold up. Two species of tinea moths have been recorded as feeding on horn tissues and have been bred from the horns of cattle. Okay, I didn't know that. The larvae of Xenodochium coccivorea is an internal parasite of the Cossid kermes species. Many species have been recorded as breeding in natural materials or refuse such as owl pellets, bat caves, honeycombs, or diseased fruit. Ooh. My new band name. See us opening. Diseased fruit. As of 2007, there are roughly 174,250 Lepidopteran species described, with butterflies and skippers estimated to comprise about 17,950, and moths making up the rest. Oh, okay, I'm making up the rest. Save yourself some subtraction there, eh, buddy? The vast majority of Lepidoptera are to be found in the tropics, but substantial diversity exists on most continents. North America has over 700 species of butterflies and 11,000 species of moth, while about 400 species of butterflies and 14,000 species of moth are reported from Australia alone. The diversity of Lepidoptera in each faunal region has been estimated by John Hepner in 1991, based partially on actual counts from the literature, partially on the card indices in the Natural History Museum of London, and in the Natural Museum of Natural History within Washington, and partially on estimates, as all things are. Wow, there's a pretty decent amount of info on Lepidopterans. So far, one section of this has been about as big as the entirety of the wiki pages for the other orders we've looked at. What on earth? I think there's a little bit of favoritism going on over here. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there's some butterfly favoritism going on here, especially when they're calling Megalopteran wings clumsy. Oh, I don't know how to feel about that. No. Oh no, baby. Oh no. Oh no. So the morphology of them Lepidopterans. Lepidopterans are morphologically distinguished from other orders principally by the presence of scales on the external parts of their bodies and appendages.
We kind of covered that already. Maybe that's a little repetitive. Let me scroll down a little bit to see.
They're super diverse. Larvae are called caterpillars. Yeah, okay. I'm actually gonna skip this section. This is pretty dang repetitive. Ooh, alright, here we go. Details on the scale. The wings, head, and parts of the thorax and abdomen of Lepidoptera are covered with minute scales, a feature from which the order derives its name. Most scales are lamellar or blade-like and attached with a pedicel, while other forms may be hair-like or specialized as secondary sexual characteristics. Oh my. The lumen or surface of the lamella has a complex structure. It gives color either by color pigments it contains or through structural coloration, with mechanisms that includes photonic crystals and diffraction gratings, which is really neat. That's another idea for a video.
Let me just write that down.
Scales function in insulation, thermoregulation, producing pheromones, but just in males, just the dudes, and aid in gliding flight. But the most important is the large diversity of vivid and indistinct patterns which they provide. These patterns help the organism protect itself by camouflage or mimicry, and which act as signals to other animals, including rivals and potential mates. Species of Lepidoptera undergo holometabolism, or complete metamorphosis. You know, I think that's the word of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Holometabolism. That sweet metamorphosis. Because all bugs, even those within the same families, even those within the same families can have pretty different metamorphosis. It's pretty neat.
Diversity is groovy, ladies and gentlemen.
Their life cycle consists normally of egg, larvae, pupae, and the imago, or adult. The larvae are commonly called caterpillars, and the pupae of moths encapsulated in silk are called cocoons, while the uncovered pupae of butterflies are called chrysalises, or chrysalides, which I think is the plural. Unless the species produces year-round, a butterfly or moth may enter diapause, a state of dormancy that allows the insect to survive unfavorable environmental conditions. Lepidoptera usually reproduce sexually and are oviparous, which means they lay little eggies, though some species exhibit live birth in a process called oviviparity. A variety of differences in egg laying and the number of eggs laid occur. Some species simply drop their eggs in flight. Oh, that doesn't seem very good. Just plop them out. Plop out the eggs, let them go. While most Lepidopterans lay their eggs near or on a host plant on which the larvae feed. The number of eggs laid can vary from only a few to several thousand. Yeah, we covered that one a bit earlier, huh? The eggs are derived from materials ingested as a larva, and in some species from the spermatophores received from males during mating. Oh, how very efficient. A single egg could be 1/1000th the mass of a female, yet she can lay up to her own mass in eggs. Females lay smaller eggs as they age. Larger females lay larger eggs. The egg is covered by a hard, ridged, protective outer layer of shell called the chorion. It is lined with a thin coating of wax, which prevents the egg from drying out. Each egg contains a number of micropiles, or tiny funnel-shaped openings at one end, the purpose of which is to allow sperm to enter and fertilize the egg. Butterfly and moth eggs vary greatly in size between species, but they are all either spherical or ovate. The egg stage lasts a few weeks in most butterflies, but eggs laid prior to winter, especially in temperate regions, go through diapause, and hatching may be delayed until spring. Other butterflies may lay their eggs in the spring and have them hatch in the summer. These butterflies are usually the temperate species. Now for the sweet little babies. Oh, caterpillars! Oh, little caterpillars! The larvae or caterpillars are the first stage in the life cycle after hatching. Caterpillars are characteristic polypod larvae with cylindrical bodies, short thoracic legs, and abdominal prolegs, also known as pseudopods. 'Cause they're not actually legs. They have a toughened, cellratized head capsule with an adfrontal suture formed by a medial fusion of the sclerites. Oh, I'm sorry. Sclerites. I guess I've been saying that wrong my whole life. Sclerites looked so right. Sclerites, I suppose. Let's see. Fusion of sclerites. Oh, mandibles for chewing and a soft, tubular, segmented body that may have hair-like or other projections. 3 pairs of true legs and additional prolegs. Up to 5 pairs of them, too. Let's see. The body consists of 13 segments, of which 3 are thoracic and 10 are abdominal. Most larvae are herbivores, but few are carnivores. There are even a couple that are detritivores.
I mean, they eat leaf litter, stuff on the ground.
Different herbivores. Oh, hold on. Different herbivore species have adapted to feed on every part of a plant and are normally considered pests to their host. Some species are carnivorous, and others are even parasitic. Some lycaenid species, such as Maculinea rebeli, are social parasites of Myrmica ant nests. A species of Geometridae from Hawaii has carnivorous larvae that catch and eat flies. Ooh, watch out, boys. Some paralid caterpillars are in fact aquatic. The larvae develop rapidly with several generations in a year. However, some species may take up to 3 years to develop, and exceptional examples, like Gyneophora grown landica, take as long as 7 years. Great googly moogly. The larval stage is where the feeding and growing stages occurs, and the larvae periodically undergo hormone-induced ecdysis, developing further with each instar until they undergo the final larval pupal molt. There you go. There's some vocal warm-up for you. I gotta breathe. I gotta say Steve.
The larvae of both butterflies and moths exhibit mimicry to deter potential predators. Some caterpillars have the ability to inflate parts of their heads to appear like a snake. Hiss. Many have false eye spots to enhance this effect. Some caterpillars have special structures called osmeteria. But that's just in the family called Papilionidae.
Papilionidae, which are exposed to produce smelly chemicals used in defense. Oh, so stinky boys. You don't want to attack them because they'll make you go stinky. These chemicals are exposed to produce Oh my god, I just read that sentence. Host plants often have toxic substances within them, and caterpillars are able to sequester these substances and retain them into the adult stage. This helps make them unpalatable to birds and other predators. Such unpalatability is advertised using bright red, orange, black, or white warning colors. The toxic chemicals in plants are often specific to prevent them from being specifically to prevent them from being eaten by most insects. Insects, in return, develop countermeasures or make use of the toxins for their own survival. This arms race has led to the coevolution of insects and their host plants. Babies. Oh, babies. We're gonna look at wing development now. Let's see what this is about. Rest your head on a pillow made out of intestines, because this is going to be getting real relaxing. Wait, hold up. Let me scroll down just a bit. Yeah. No form of wing is externally visible on the larvae, but when the larvae are dissected, developing wings can be seen as discs, which can be found on the second and third thoracic segments in place of the spiracles that are apparent on abdominal segments. Wing discs develop in association with a trachea that runs alongside the base of a wing and are surrounded by thin parapodial membrane. Peripodal membrane, I had it, which is linked to the outer epidermis of a larvae by a tiny duct. Wing discs are very small until the last larval instar, in which they increase dramatically in size, are invaded by branching tracheae from the wing base that precede the formation of wing veins, and begin to develop patterns associated with several landmarks of the wing.
Near pupation, the wings are forced outside the epidermis under pressure from the hemolymph, and although they are initially quite flexible and fragile, by the time the pupa breaks free of the larval cuticle, they have adhered tightly to the outer wall of the pupa. An object pupae, apparently. Within hours, the wings form a cuticle so hard and well joined to the body that the pupae can be picked up and handled without actually damaging the wings. After about 5 to 7 instars, or molts, certain hormones like PTTH stimulate the production of ecdysone, which initiates insect molting. Then, the larvae puparium, a cellulitized or hardened cuticle of the last larval instar, develops into the pupa itself. Depending on the species, the pupae may be covered in a silk cocoon, attached to different types of substrates, buried in the ground, or may not be covered at all. Features of the imago are externally recognizable in the pupa. All the appendages on the adult head and thorax are found encased within a cuticle. With the wings wrapped around adjacent to the antennae, the pupae of some species have functional mandibles, while the pupal mandibles are not functional in others. Okay, I'm kind of seeing a reoccurring theme here, especially when you look back to those megalopteras we just covered. While encased, some of the lower segments are not fused and able to move using the small muscles found in between the membrane. Moving may help the pupae, for example, escape the sun, which would otherwise kill it.
Boy, I wish I could escape the sun more often. Oh.
The pupae of the Mexican jumping bean moth, which is, Cydia desciana, does this. The larvae cut a trap door in the bean and use the bean as a shelter. With a sudden rise in temperature, the pupae inside twitches and jerks, pulling on the threads inside. Wiggling may also help to deter parasitoid wasps from laying eggs on the pupa. Other species of moths are able to make clicks to deter predators. The length of time before the pupae encloses varies greatly. The monarch butterfly may stay in its chrysalis for 2 weeks, while other species may need to stay in there for more than 10 months in diapause. The adult emerges from the pupae either by using abdominal hooks from projections located on the head. By either using abdominal hooks or projections located on the head. The mandibles found in most primitive moth families are used to escape from their cocoon. Most Lepidopteran species do not live long after eclosion, only needing a few days to find a mate and then lay their eggs. Others may remain active for a longer period, or go through diapause and overwintering as monarch butterflies do, or waiting out the environmental stress. Some adult species of Microlepidoptera go through a stage where no reproductive related activity occurs, lasting through summer and winter, followed by mating and oviposition in the early spring. Oh, hiccup. I got a hiccup. I'm hiccuping. Okay. While most butterflies and moths are terrestrial, many species of Pyralidae are truly aquatic, with all stages except the adults occurring in water. Many species from other families such as Arctictidae, Nepiculidae, Cosmopterigidae, Torticitidae, Olithurituridae, Noctuidae, Caucidae, Sphingidae are aquatic or semi-aquatic.
Great googly moogly. Okay, alright.
And the rest is talking about how they're great pollinators. But you know what? We spent a whole lot of time talking about butterflies. I don't remember that. Man. Boy, after talking about one diverse group, let's move on to the next biggin. Those big old bumbly beetles. Arguably the most successful animal on planet Earth. And I'm not just saying that to make my professors feel awesome about what they're studying either. Because centipedes are better. Centipedes are the best.
Weird.
Beetles are a group of insects that form the order Coleoptera and the superorder Endopterygoda. Their front pair of wings are hardened into wing cases known as elytra, distinguishing them from most other insects. The Coleoptera, with about 400,000 species, is the largest of all orders, constituting almost 40% of described insects and 25% of all known animal life on Earth. The new species are discovered frequently. The largest of all families, the Curculeonidae, also known as weevils, with some 70,000 member species, belongs to this order. Found in almost every habitat except the sea in the polar regions, they interact with their ecosystems in several ways. Beetles often feed on plants and fungus, break down animal and plant debris, and eat other invertebrates. Some species are serious agricultural pests, such as the Colorado potato beetle, while others, such as Coccianilidae, ladybirds and ladybugs, eat aphids, scale insects, and thrips, and any other plant-sucking insects that damage crops. Beetles typically have particularly hard exoskeleton, including the elytra. Though some, such as the rove beetles, have very short elytra, while blister beetles have actual soft elytra. The general anatomy of a beetle is quite uniform and typical of insects, although there are several examples of novelty, such as adaptations of water beetles which trap air bubbles under their elytra to use and breathe while diving. Beetles are endopterygotes, which means that they undergo complete metamorphosis, with a series of conspicuous and relatively abrupt changes in body structure between hatching and becoming adult after a relatively immobile pupal stage. Some, such as the stag beetles, have a marked sexual dimorphism, the males possessing enormously large mandibles that they use to fight other males. Many beetles are aposematic, with bright colors and patterns warning of their toxicity, while others are harmless Batesian mimics of such insects. Many beetles, including those that live in sandy places, have effective camouflage. Gotta be able to hide. Gotta be able to hide. Then when the predators see you, they just gonna slide. Beetles are prominent in human culture, from the sacred scarabs of ancient Egypt to the beetle wing art used as to beetle wing art? I have no idea what that is. And used as pets or fighting insects for entertainment and gambling. Many beetle groups are brightly and attractively colored, making them objects of collection and decorative displays. Over 300 species are used as food, but mostly as larvae. Species widely consumed include mealworms and rhinoceros beetle larvae. You probably heard of mealworms when feeding your respective reptilian pet ronies. However, the major impact of beetles on human life is as agricultural, forestry, and horticultural pests. Serious pests include the boll weevil of cotton, the Colorado potato beetle, because they love potatoes, the coconut hispine beetle, and the mountain pine beetle. Most beetles, however, do not cause economic damage, and many, such as the lady beetles and dung beetles, are widely beneficial by helping to control insect pests.
Whoa, beetle boys. That's pretty good coverage of the beetles, I would say. You want to know something funky? Let's talk about Mantophasmatidae. This order is actually, according to my professorman, relatively newly discovered, at least within like the last 15, 20 years or so, which, is still relatively recent. Mantophasmatidae is a family of carnivorous insects within the order Nodoptera, which was discovered in Africa in 2001. Ooh, I was 9 years old. I was like a wee lad prancing and dancing, thinking of alligators and bugs, just like me now. Originally, the group was... Oh my goodness. Originally, the group was regarded as an order on its own right, and named Mantophasmatodea, but based on recent evidence indicating a sister group relationship with Grilloblattidae, formerly classified as an order Grilloblattodea, Arillo and Engel have combined the two groups into a single order, Nodoptera. Now, my professor says that they are still separate, but, that probably won't be in the textbook until there's an official change of the guard, if you know what I'm saying. A change in the guard, if you know what I'm saying. That's when new professors are in charge. They're the ones taxes are paying. The most common vernacular name for this order is gladiators, though they are called rock crawlers, heel walkers, mantophasmids, and colloquially mantos. Their modern center of endism in western South Africa and Namibia, although a relict population and Eocene fossils suggest a wider ancient distribution. Mantophasmatodea are wingless, even as adults, making them relatively difficult to identify. They resemble a mix between a mantis and a phasmid, and molecular evidence indicates that they are most closely related to the equally enigmatic group Grilloblattodea. Initially, the gladiators were described from an old museum specimens that originally were found in Namibia and Tanzania. Live specimens have been found in Namibia by an international expedition in early 2002. Since then, a number of new genera and species have been discovered, the most recent being two new genera, Cuboesphasma and Minutophasma, each with a single species described from Richterveld in South Africa. Oh, in 2018. How cool is that? Mantophasmatodea are wingless carnivores. During courtship, they communicate using vibrations transmitted through the ground or substrate. Grilloblattidae, or ice bugs, or ice crawlers, is a family of extremophile and wingless insect that live on cold on top of mountains and the edges of glaciers. They belong, along with Mantophasmatodea, to the order Nodoptera. At least, that's how they're currently classified. I've got a feeling that's gonna change within 10 or 15 years. Grilloblattids are tiny wingless insects with a head resembling that of a cockroach, with long antennae and having an elongate cerci arising from the tip of their abdomen. They cannot tolerate warmth, and many species have small distribution ranges. Oh, just like me! What do you know? Grilloblattids, ice crawlers, or ice bugs, evidently puzzled the scientists who discovered them in 1914. The first specimen was named Grilloblatta campodiiformis, which means the cricket cockroach shaped like a campodeid. Most are nocturnal and appear to feed on detritus. They have long antennae and long cerci, but no wings. Their eyes are either missing or reduced and have no ocelli. Their closest living relatives are the recently discovered Mantophasmatodea. The family has its own suborder, Grilloblattodea, and formerly its own order of Grilloblattodea. It contains 5 genuses and about 34 species. Most species have restricted distributions and small populations, and with the increased warming of their habitats, their habitats are threatened, making them endangered. In North America, some species like Grilloblatta barbari and G. oregonensis are known from a single site. And I believe that a grilloblattid is a unofficial mascot for the Montana Entomology Society, or whatever it is. Whatever the organization is. Grilloblattids are omnivorous but feed primarily on dead arthropods and carrion. When arthropod carcasses are scarce, their diet relies heavily on plant material. The fossil species Plesioblattogryllus magnificus from the Middle Jurassic had long mandibles and is thought to have been a predator. It's true. Grilloblattids essentially have these special proteins in their blood that act as antifreeze, and when other bugs are dying from the cold, they go about and give them a munch.
the only the only downside to being so resistant to cold is when temperatures rise, they can't really handle it. And boy, oh boy, can I relate. Let me tell you guys. Boy, oh boy, can I relate. Oh yeah, well, you know, most people use baby powder, but I'm a firm believer in cornstarch. Wait, hold on. Hello everybody. I'm back. Talking about bugs. Where did we leave off at? Was it the beetles? Was it the Hamunaptra? I believe it was. So let's move on to Hymenoptera. One of probably my favorite order of insects. I'm more of a myriapod kind of guy, but when it comes to insects, Hymenopteras are pretty groovy. Hymenoptera is a large order of insects, comprising the sawflies, wasps, bees, and ants. Over 150,000 living species of Hymenoptera have been described, in addition to over 2,000 extinct ones. Females typically have special ovipositor for inserting eggs into hosts or places that are otherwise inaccessible. The ovipositor is often modified into a stinger. The young develop through holometabolism, otherwise known as complete metamorphosis, otherwise known as the word of the day. That is, they have a worm-like larval stage and an inactive pupal stage before they mature. The cladogram... Okay, hold up. We're skipping that part. That part's boring. That guy sucks. Hymenopterans range in size from very small to large insects and usually have 2 pairs of wings. Their mouthparts are adapted for chewing with well-developed mandibles. Many species have further developed the mouthparts into lengthy proboscis, with which they can drink liquids such as nectar. They have large compound eyes and typically 3 simple ocelli. Ocelli, simple little gongo eyes. The forward margin of the hind wing bears a number of hooked bristles, or hamuli, which lock onto the forewing, keeping them held together. The smaller species may have only 2 to 3 hamuli on each side, but the largest wasps may have considerable number, keeping the wings gripped together especially tightly. Hymenopteran wings have relatively few veins compared with many other insects, especially in the smaller species. In the more ancestral Hymenopterans, the ovipositor is blade-like and has evolved for slicing into plant tissues. In the majority, however, it is modified for piercing, and in some cases it is several times the length of the body. In some species, the ovipositor has become modified as a stinger, and the eggs are laid from the base of the structure rather than from the tip, which is usually only to inject venom. The sting is typically used to immobilize prey, but in some wasps and bees, it can be used in defense. Yeah, they're pretty good. Pretty good at defending their babies, defending their queens. You better watch out. They'll give you the 1-2 buckle my shoe. They'll give you the fancy Nancy, the tricky Tyler. They'll give you the bubble jump. Hymenopteran larvae typically have a distinct head region, 3 thoracic segments, and usually 9 or 10 abdominal segments. In the suborder Symphyta, the larvae resemble caterpillars in appearance, and like them, typically feed on leaves. They have large chewing mandibles, 3 pairs of thoracic limbs, and, in most cases, 6 or 8 abdominal prolegs. Unlike caterpillars, however, the prolegs have no grasping spines, and the antennae are reduced to mere stubs. Little stubs, little stubulons, little stubotrons.
Mere stubs.
Symphytan larvae that are wood borers or stem borers have no abdominal legs, and in the thoracic legs are smaller than those of non-borers. With rare exceptions, larvae of the suborder Apocrita have no legs and are maggot-like in form, and are adapted to life in protected environment. This may be the body of a host organism, or the cell of a nest, where the adults will care for the little babbies. The wee little babbies. In parasitic forms, the head is often greatly reduced and partially withdrawn into the prothorax. Sense organs appear to be poorly developed, with no ocelli.
very small or absent antennae, and a tooth-like, sickle-like, or spine-like mandible. They are also unable to defecate until they reach adulthood due to having an incomplete digestive tract, presumably to avoid contaminating their environment. That way, the nest doesn't get all stinky. That way, they don't get all PU. I hope nobody did the stinky doo-doo. Sense organs appear to be poorly developed. Oh, wait a second. We already read that. Let's go down a little bit. The larvae of stinging forms generally have 10 pairs of spiracles or breathing pores, whereas parasitic forms usually have 9 pairs. Ooh, yes. That'll be on the test. Amongst most or all hymenopterans, sex is determined by the number of chromosomes an individual possesses. Fertilized eggs get 2 sets of chromosomes and develop into diploid females, while unfertile eggs only contain 1 set and develop into haploid males. The act of fertilization is under the voluntary control of the egg-laying female, aka the queen, giving her control of the sex of her offspring. This phenomenon is called haplodiploidy. However, the actual genetic mechanism of haplodiploid sex determination may be more complex than simple chromosome number. In many Hymenoptera, sex is actually determined by a single gene locus with many alleles. In these species, haploids are male and diploids are heterozygous at the sex locus are female, but occasionally a diploid will be homozygous at the sex locus and develop a male instead. This is especially likely to occur in an individual whose parents were siblings or close relatives. Ooh, inbreeding within the hive. That's no good. You don't want
none of them inbred wasps. You'll get too many boys. A bunch of drones that are a little too confused.
One consequence of haplodiploidy is that females on average actually have more genes in common with their sisters than they do with their own daughters. Because of this, cooperation amongst kindred females may be unusually advantageous and has been hypothesized to contribute to the multiple origins of eusociality within the order. In many colonies of bees, ants, and wasps, worker females will remove eggs laid by other workers due to an increased relatedness to direct siblings, a phenomenon known as worker policing. Worker policing. Oh man. That's actually not super efficient, but, helpful. Another consequence is that hymenopterans may be more resistant to the deleterious effects of inbreeding, and as males are haploid, any recessive genes will automatically be expressed, exposing them to natural selection. Thus, the genetic load of deleterious genes is purged relatively quickly. So, if somebody's got unhealthy genes, they ain't going to last long naturally. Oh, let's keep moving down. Looking at Hymenopteran reproduction. Thelytarchy. Oh, Thelytarchy. Some Hymenopterans take advantage of Parthenogenesis, the creation of embryos without fertilization. Thelytarchy is a particular form of Parthenogenesis in which female embryos are created. The form of Thelytarchy in Hymenopterans is a kind of automixis in which 2 haploid products from the same meiosis fuse to form a diploid zygote. Okay. Looks like I'm learning along with you guys. This process tends to maintain heterozygosity in the passage of the genome from mother to daughter. It is found in several ant species, including the desert ant, the kernel raider ant, the predaceous ant, and the electrical ant. And there's a bunch of specific epithets I'm not going to attempt to pronounce, because those ones are a little extra funky. Oocytes that undergo automixis with the central fusion often have a reduced rate of crossover recombination, which helps to maintain heterozygosity and avoid inbreeding depression. Species that display central fusion with reduced combination include the ants. The ants included are Platytheria punctata, Wasmania auropunctata, and the honeybee Apis mellifera capensis. Boy, I'm sure there's a bunch of Hymenoptera specialists out there who are like punching their screens at my pronunciation at a couple of these. Let's see. Single queen colonies of the narrow-headed ant illustrate the possible deleterious effects of increased homozygosity. Colonies of the species which have more homozygous queens will age more rapidly, resulting in a reduced colony survival. Do you guys want to know about the diet of Hymenoptera? Bees, ants, and wasps? Oh man, let's dive right into it, cutie pie. Different species of Hymenoptera show a wide range of feeding habits. The most primitive forms are typically herbivorous, feeding on leaves or pine needles. Stinging wasps are predators and will provision their larvae with immobilized prey, while bees feed on nectar and pollen. That's a lot of good protein. A huge number of species are parasitoids as larvae. The adults inject the eggs into a host when they begin to consume after hatching. For example, the eggs of the endangered Papillohomerus are parasitized at a rate of 77%, mainly by Hymenoptera species. Some species are even hyperparasitoid, with the host itself being another parasitoid insect. Habits intermediate between those of the herbivorous and parasitoid forms are shown in some hymenopterans, which inhabit the galls or nests of other insects, stealing their food and eventually killing and eating the occupant. Ooh, 'cause bees, ants, and wasps are pretty groovy. Oh, they're pretty nifty noodles. A little Hymenoptera. Well guys, I'm getting a little cramped down here, so I'm gonna go ahead and ramp up this sweet, sweet ASMR with one last article covering one of my favorite insects of all time, the Homestar Runner. The Homestar Runner is the star of his namesake website. He is mainly colored white with a black comma-shaped eyes and a prominent underbite. Usually he wears a red shirt with a white star and a blue beanie with a red brim and a white spinner. His legs are quite long in relation to the rest of his body. Though he lacks a visible pair of arms, he is still able to function as though he has them, being able to carry and throw objects that even type proficiently. It's generally accepted that either he does have arms, but for reasons that are never explained, they are invisible, or that he has limited telekinetic powers. According to the tune Marshmallow's Last Stand, he weighs 100 pounds, while his middle name was said to be Michael by Marzipan in the Halloween Potion Majig, and by himself in Flash is Dead. His middle name may also be Hal, as heard in the DVD commentary for Time Capsule, though it was always suggested that Hal is Marzipan's pet name for him. The subject of jokes and the recipient of nicknames, Homestar is an earnest character with a pure heart and nothing but love for the rest of mankind. Unfortunately, his absolute cluelessness and clumsiness keep him from realizing his full potential. As Strongbad stated in the Trogdor 97, he has an unbelievably loose grasp on the world around him. He's not completely stupid, and has proven to be remarkably clever in the past, though such occurrences are few and far between. Now that's just rude. I bet you Strongbad wrote this article. He and most of his other residents of free country USA speak English, but as seen in his welcome speech to HomestarRunner.com, he is also able to speak Spanish, though it is unknown exactly how much. He frequently uses two-syllable exclamations like hi-ya, highball, and ak-poo. Also, Homestar has the strange habit of flicking his head the opposite direction while talking, only to flick it right back, almost like a tick. If he is enunciating several syllables in a word, he will usually flick his head of each of the emphasized parts, as in a death-defying Decemberween. He says, "No way, dog, no way, Bubs," his head twitching at both of the nose. Whoa, what was that sentence? Oh, I'm no grammar man, but daggum. It's good practice for script reading though, let me tell ya. Homestar is the star athlete of an unspecified sports team led by Coach Z, and keeps it that way via vigorous workouts as revealed in the Strongbad email Dullard. He is also the colonel, which is pronounced phonetically, of the Homestar Army, and the supreme overlord of the Brotherhood Order of Different Helmets in the Ever and More. His best friend remains Pom Pom. He has some speech impediments, as he says, "trouble with his oars," and appears to have short-term memory problems, as he frequently forgets things he's just done or said. Homestar has also shown an incredible ability to sleep, which has been known to get him in trouble. The most extreme example is him oversleeping in the tune Welcome Back, where he slept through all of June and possibly the better half of May. Although he is often the target of pranks by Strongbad, Homestar believes that he is friends with the Wrestleman known as Strongbad. He tries to win his favor, often with bad results that Homestar completely misunderstands. Occasionally, he and Strongbad will be on pleasant terms, usually participating together in a Strongbad email or watching TV at Homestar's house. Another quirk of Homestar's is his ability to easily be outsmarted at his own game, but still comes out victorious and happy. As Strongbad puts it in Secret Recipes, it's like, even when we win, he wins. It should also be noted that Homestar's psychology may be account for his sleepwalking behavior, as exhibited in the Strongbad email titled Nightlife. He, Coach Z, Bubs, and Pom Pom appear to be the current law enforcement of Free Country USA, as seen in Strongbad is in Jail cartoon and Road Trip. The King of Town calls upon him and Pom Pom's assistance in the King of Town DVD, suggesting higher authority and or credibility. However, he is also seen as a thief in Candy Product, stealing a pair of half-eaten Choco Pants. Homestar's relationship with Marzipan seems tenuous at best, and it has appeared to deteriorate over time. Although Homestar frequently, and inadvertently, insults Marzipan, she claims to have broken up with him several times. The two still seem to be able to stick it together. It is unclear how their relationship started, but the fact that their relationship is never truly broken suggests that they really do love each other.
Oh, ain't that sweet? Okay, everybody. I gotta save my shoulders. I'm not shaving my shoulders, but I got to save my shoulders. So this is the end of Entomology ASMR, April 1st edition. Bye, kids.